Awesome. Well, I might kick us off. Welcome everyone to our very first Startmate Founders Fellowship Cohort 1 Demo Day. Super exciting. Unlike the Accelerator Demo Day, I'm not going to make you listen to me for as long as I made you listen to me on that event. So I'll keep my words short and sharp right at the start, and then I'll exit stage left and hang around in the background. I'm super excited to see all of your pitches. It's so good to see so many of the Founders Fellows in the audience, and also see so many of our other community members across. I can see Women's Fellows, I can see Women's Fellows coaches, Accelerator alumni, mentors. We really wanted to make today kind of an internal community showcase rather than a big external event. I've had so many people from so many other parts of Startmate kind of ask me what's going on in this Founders Fellowship thing, and really today is about lifting the veil a little bit on what we've been up to in this program. I always love it when someone joins not on mute with background noise. So what I will do is I'll give a quick overview of what the program is and what we've been doing to date, and then I'll hand over and you'll get to see some of the amazing progress that our Founders Fellows have made. So as you all would know, we've been running the Accelerator for a very long time, but the Accelerator has only allowed us to service a very small number of the founders that we meet in a given year. And there are so many awesome, ambitious people that we want to support on the journey to becoming a founder that we've never been able to support in a meaningful way before we launched the Founders Fellowship. And a large part of the reason for that was there were people that we really believed in and thought had the right ambition and the right hunger and really thought would have a great crack at being a founder, that weren't quite ready for the Accelerator. And they were largely still trying to solve one of three things. They were trying to solve finding the right co-founder, they were trying to figure out whether they were solving the right problem, or they were trying to get some early traction in the business that they had identified. So we built a program to try and help founders do exactly those three things. So that's why we launched the Founders Fellowship. So the Founders Fellowship was a 10-week program. It wrapped up at the end of last week. We just had our closing session yesterday, which was very sad. I kind of wish we made it a 20-week program instead. But we've been exposing 87 awesome people that we've identified, some of whom are still working full-time, some of whom have quit their jobs to start a startup full-time, who are all joining the program to do one thing, which was to start a startup. Through the last 10 weeks, we've given them some frameworks, we've given them some live content, we've helped them build relationships with each other, all with that one goal of helping them start a business and hopefully give them a community that they can take forwards beyond just the 10-week program that they can draw on through all the ups and downs of starting a business. So you're going to see some of that awesome progress today. I'm going to shut up now and hand over to Rayn, who's going to introduce the night formally and introduce our wonderful judges for the night. And I'm going to be cheering on in the audience with the rest of you. So a massive congrats to all the Founders Fellows that are going to be on stage tonight. Only other thing I'll add is we had far too many awesome fellows to highlight tonight. So tonight is a cross section just to demonstrate a little bit of the diversity in the cohort. Some are working on fun little side projects. Some are working on full-time businesses that have a global ambition. But there is so much beyond what you'll see tonight that we wish we could showcase, and we're going to try and get some of that up online for you to consume in your own time. And over to that, I'm going to hand over to DJ Ryan by the looks of it.
Thanks, Sasha. I know we're all strapped for time tonight. That was a wicked introduction. You know, I'm actually twirling with excitement for the session. It's going to be amazing. Like you said, it's our very first ever demo day for the Founders Fellowship. I can hear myself in someone else's mic, so if you haven't already, mute yourself, please. I would like to introduce our esteemed judges that are on stage. We've got Luke, Rayn, and Sam. Would you each like to give a little bit of an introduction? I'm going to go from left to right. So Luke, Rayn, Sam, sound good? Cool.
Hey everyone, I'm Luke Howes, based down in Adelaide. I'm a multiple-time founder, lots more failures than successes, but we did have a good success with a company called Proviso a few years ago. We are a fintech SaaS company dealing with bank data. Yeah, being a founder is absolutely awesome. Heaps of highs, heaps of lows, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what everyone's been up to.
Hi, I'm Rayn. I'm a partner at a venture fund called Archangel, and we focus in round 1 and round 2 of the funding journey of the startups. Have a pretty good track record. Lots of founders love me because I give them money. Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam Wong. I'm a partner at Blackbird Ventures. I'm based over in Auckland. I actually was a founder as well, and I went through the Startmate program, Accelerator program back in 2015. I think Rayn didn't vote for me, but I probably don't blame him. I joined Blackbird straight out of Startmate, not planning to do venture, actually planning to go back and be a founder, but realized that it's much more exciting actually being a small part of the journey of much more ambitious, much more talented people than myself, and hopefully helping them a little bit along the way. And looking forward to hearing all about your businesses tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Free, for being a part of this. It's going to be a wicked session. We have 15 amazing companies amongst an 87-person cohort. So I just can't wait to get it started. And on that note, I want to put on the first video by Clappy.
When I joined Startmate, I was building a tool to be more entertaining, more engaging, more attention-getting. But I realized something was wrong, something was missing in our online events, in our webinars, in online learning, in our Zooms and online conferences. Something wasn't there. Something was missing. But, thanks to Startmate, I worked it out. Okay. That's enough of the pitch. Thank you. It's a cute name. It's a silly name. But look, what I want to know is, how is this a $1 billion company? I mean, what's the big idea here? Oh, hi. Hello. Yeah, it's more of a small idea, where you press the button and you clap, and everyone else hears the clap. You should check out the Fellowship Founders, the others. They're really good. If there was a big idea, it's that there's a disconnect between the audience and the presenters. I came across this in my interviews. I spoke to Lucy Lloyd. She was saying how, okay, let's say that is true. What stops Zoom doing this, or Facebook for that matter? Yeah, so on Facebook you can get some emotes and some data, but it's fairly limited, and I've been working with exporting actual edited cut down videos based on the highlights from the crowd. Why do this now? Well, now is when we've all been introduced to this parallel universe that looks not like this, but more like this, and I think it's a great time to join us on Clappy and cheer along. Be part of the crowd. I'll see you there. Any excuse for a week, huh? You're on mute, Ryan.
I was just laughing.
So, yeah, it's live, yeah. So scan with your phone. You can be like cheering along right now, by the way.
I don't have my phone with me, unfortunately. I removed all my distractions. Oh, hey, Keith. Look, thank you for that. I also thought in the beginning it was a voice actor, but you just actually have a real voice like that. It's just quite amazing. What were you hoping to achieve when you entered the Founders Fellowship?
Yeah, so I'd been working on another tool for like augmenting your video feed, like how I can put these things here, and I've got like little clappy cam happening up here. But I wasn't getting the traction that I'd hoped for. And then after going through the experience and kind of late in the Startmate Fellowship, I realized, yeah, like it's actually in this kind of resonance between the audience and the speaker that the energy is not just in being louder as a speaker or more attention grabbing. So yeah, I started working in Bubble and doing web stuff, which I've never done before. So it's kind of like a pivot at the last moment.
Awesome. Well done whipping something together so quickly.
Thanks.
Hey, Keith, really well done. Great video, great use of sense of humor and your own personality. Like that's just awesome to see. So you mentioned you've been talking to some people, I guess, about this product that you're building. Have you mainly been looking at event organizers or as event attendees, like everyone? Yeah,
so attendees certainly, but also the people who run events as part of their institution, like a University of New South Wales, people who've been running professional events internally, of course, the Startmate folks who do this, and realizing that the value for them is something that comes not just in the better experience online, but also this ability to like the big pain point for them was making a video at the end of it, cutting this big long stuff down into something short for the socials. So realizing that there's probably that's where people wanting to pay. That's like the main pain point there.
Yeah, I really like the addressable market because everybody has to clap at the end, of an event. I was wondering what your domination plan like. Is this kind of like a Trojan horse feature where it leads to something bigger and monetizable?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big trend is that I'm getting like spider sense that Ryan's going to mute me. That machine vision has finally got to a point where you can run it on a bunch of stuff at negligible cost. So understanding what people are doing in front of the camera is now a possibility. So being able to interpret what people are doing on video, being able to turn that into something that lets communication channels be richer and everyone's not just on mute and deathly silence after stuff. So there's kind of a longer play that's really like computer vision oriented. And for now it's just like click a button, but it still has this fun vibe to it, which I'm gonna it's rock and roll there,
This is such a feel-good project that definitely is going to make my life better. Hopefully give me more t-shirts too. My preference if you haven't figured it out. Next up we have Escalate.
Surely there's a better way to do this. Every day, everywhere, many of our 800,000 healthcare workers are drowning in the increased workload of COVID thinking this. Healthcare systems are siloed and lack open communication. Traditional escalation pathways move through layers of bureaucracy. Current surveys are long, subject to bias, and have low engagement rates. These are inefficient and inappropriate in a fast-paced, volatile times. Unaddressed problems are missed opportunities and costly. Staff feel voiceless and frustrated at the lack of change, leading to high turnover. It costs up to $100,000 to replace a hospital nurse in Australia. Now's the time to change. According to Corporate Leadership Council, 87% of 50,000 people are less likely to leave an organization when they're engaged. We believe in listening to our people, truly understanding the problem, and finding solutions together. Hi, my name's Rayn, founder of Escalate, an all-in-one platform to engage staff, understand their problems, and brainstorm ideas collaboratively. We have created a safe haven to share problems freely with an anonymous option. Our voting system effectively triages problems and prioritizes great ideas to directly reach decision makers. Qualitative opinions are converted to functional quantitative data. The all-inclusive platform reveals root issues and paints a bigger picture. Passionate staff can also form teams to further research problems and develop ideas before officially pitching to our decision makers. Our mobile-friendly design allows easy and flexible access, perfect for healthcare workers who are always on the go. Our target market is any health organization with more than 50 staff. According to Ant Health, the global digital health market is over $200 billion, with $47 billion invested in enterprise software. Our competitive advantage is our strong established network in the health ecosystem. I also have unique insight as a digital health clinician. With my 6 years of experience in health, I'm well connected to key stakeholders for software implementation in healthcare. Between my medical advisor, Ben, and I, we have experience across 10 different Australian healthcare organisations, all experiencing the same problem we're trying to solve. We also have tech support from our full stack software engineer at Hitia. We have successfully pilot launched our MVP in July 2021 to a 300 people department with our testing partner, Alfred Health. Department's execs utilized data generated and allocated budget to implement highest voted ideas. Users appreciated the anonymous function, with more than 90% of them believing that our platform can drive health organizations to implement change and innovation. We plan to generate revenue through an annual subscription model, as we want to encourage all staff to engage with the platform. We're looking for $30,000 in funding for beta prototype development, enhancing user experience and cybersecurity. Long term, we aim to reach 5% of Australian healthcare organizations, encouraging innovation problem solving one organization at a time. We would love to meet great mentors in government policy and health, and if you're part of a health organization, please reach out. We're always looking for co-design and beta testing partners. Together, we can give frontline workers a voice that they deserve. Thank you.
Hey, Elaine, looking at the application, I think this product has a wider application than the initial health organization. Like, can you tell us a bit about why? Is that because that's your immediate network?
Yeah.
You go after that market first?
Yeah. So first of all, I know that there are other tools in corporate that might have existed for a few years. I think health is definitely an area that it's a little bit slower to implementation. And with my current network, I really can see this wide impact that I can actually enforce in my established network, as you mentioned.
Hey, thanks, Elaine. I'm just thinking through, so I understand the all the value props for the employees, but you'll be selling to the health organizations themselves. And I'm interested in from the interviews or your own kind of knowledge, like what would success look like to those health organizations? How would they sort of decide that the 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 that they paid to you was worthwhile?
So currently, I actually do sit on certain committees within the health space on innovation and culture and workforce development. And it really shows that health organizations actually do have budget allocated to it, but they just don't know where to spend the money. So currently they actually pay like speakers $20,000 for just a once-off event for a hospital-wide sort of like speaker to speak. But like people in healthcare don't have the time to actually attend these events. And it's not actually long-lasting. It's not actually, there's nothing sustainable there. They're constantly looking for more sustainable options, but there seems to be no system established for it. So currently what I'm doing is filling that gap that I see already in the system, and just allowing more innovation in that way and more structure.
Well done, Elaine. Really, really good presentation. I love your connection to the problem. I was going to ask a similar question to Sam and the stakeholders. I think you have plenty of employees wanting to contribute, but the stakeholders on the other side and how they manage that and engage with that so that the employees get good benefit. But seeing that got asked, I was maybe just a comment, just if you're raising some money at the moment, is just worth thinking about how far the $30,000 will go. I think I picked that's up what you're raising, because things in software, you've probably started to find out, take twice as long and are twice as expensive. So if you go into the time and effort to raise a bit of funding, you might want to raise a little bit more just to get you a bit further if things do go a bit slower, or just give you a bit more scope to push through it a bit more. But well done and good luck.
Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Elaine. Now we have Streamline.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and I'm a designer in the financial services, and there is nothing that sends a shiver down my spine like those three pesky words: annual reporting season. Meet Jim. Jim is responsible for driving our company's end-of-year financial reports. Jim is keen to jump into the reporting period early this year to try and alleviate some of the stress, so he asks if there's anything I can do to get started on. Unfortunately, I tell him there isn't much I can do until I receive some content, so Jim goes and chases Nick from finance, who tells him he'll have a first draft in Excel over the next 2 weeks. Jim then goes and chases our fund manager, Sam, who is providing a first draft of copy in a Word document. I'm not going to bore you with everyone else Jim subsequently chased up, but it was too many to count on my hands. A few weeks pass and it's my time to shine. I receive a first draft which I typeset in Adobe InDesign, save as a PDF, and send back to Jim to circulate. But before I catch my breath, Nick sends through an updated spreadsheet and 4 new Word documents of content come in. As I finish re-inputting the data, you guessed it, Nick has sent through another updated spreadsheet. I check my watch and it's 2 a.m. I have a small but justifiable tantrum, which actually escalates quite quickly to a much more, shall we say, exaggerated tantrum, as I suddenly think of all the other similar documents that need creating over the next few months. Those disorderly disclosure agreements, those infuriating information memorandums, those frustrating fund updates, and don't even get me started on the relentless regulatory documents. I don't often remember my dreams, but this night, I remember having a full-blown nightmare. That morning, when I opened my computer, 5 more emails with changes to the annual report have come through. Once again, I manually copy and paste the content into my InDesign file, PDF it, and send it back to Jim to circulate. I face the fact that this is going to be my life for the next few months. Processes like this aren't just chaotic, but they're costly, inefficient, and a version control nightmare. How, in this day and age when companies are operating on the cloud, is there no software that provides a solution for content and design to work together in a single system? Streamline lets you create, collaborate, and automate the reporting process. Designers input their company's brand guidelines, whilst content creators such as Nick can upload their documents directly to the platform and make as many changes as they like, whilst I get a full night's sleep. Once approved, Streamline automatically exports the report as a print-ready PDF and an HTML file for the web. It's that simple. Streamline, a collaborative, stress-free reporting software.
Wow, that's a great pitch, Hannah. Like the first part when you describe the problem actually gives me anxiety.
It gives me anxiety too, I gotta tell you.
But it's such a great product. Are you building this product so that you can lose your job? That's my main question.
I actually already just quit my job to focus on this full time, so I guess.
What about the other Hannah?
Hello?
Oh, sorry. That was a weird ending. I have no more further comment. And you guys want to ask some questions?
I just think it's, I love a business that focuses on something super boring, like financial reports and IMs and all this stuff that give you nightmares that nobody else in the world thinks about. We just read them and you're there being tortured in the background and you're solving that problem. So congratulations. I'm super keen to just check out your, like, what's already up. So you've actually got a working prototype already?
No, so this is, okay, so where I'm at is I came into the fellowship with the aim of hopefully finding a tech co-founder. I haven't found a tech co-founder as of yet, and it's not something that I want to rush just because obviously I want someone who can come on this journey with me and is like 100% as passionate about financial reporting as I am, because as you said, it's not such a sexy product. So I want someone who is actually willing to be like motivated by the product. But in saying that, I'm looking for like early stage funding to build something, and I don't want to outsource it to a dev just because I know it is a very heavily it's a technical product, so I don't want to be wasting money in that kind of route. But yeah, early kind of stage funding would probably go towards a CTO or something along those lines.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thanks.
Anna, I think you really streamlined that pitch, left us all speechless. That was wicked. Thank you. As promised, I wouldn't bring the bad puns back, but I can't promise that.
That was a good one, don't worry.
On that note, moving into the next startup, we have Listium, who also has a special little surprise at the end.
Hi, I'm Mark. At Listium, we're building the world's best social platform for lists. Well, the only social platform for lists. That raised the question of whether we actually need a social platform for lists. To clarify, we're not talking about tasks and reminders. We're talking about any type of list that some people are trying to share and other people are searching for, like these. Describing the problem we solve is complex, partly because it's changing. The product that is live today was built on the idea of flexibility. Flexible views and flexible fields meant Listium was one tool that could be used for almost any list. As we searched for product market fit, we discovered something. Our best metrics related to one key feature, the ability to publish on Listium. Almost everyone who signed up for Listium was not looking for a list app. They were looking for a list. In the same way that you don't go to YouTube looking for a video player, you go there for the videos. That's when we realized the future of Listium is to be the social platform for lists. Back to the problem and solution. When it comes to content platforms, we could debate for hours what problems they solve and possibly still not agree. But we can agree that they would leave a big gap if they disappeared. Imagine it's 2026 and Listium is huge. I think it's pretty easy to imagine us laughing about how we used to think the best way to share a detailed list was on a product built for accountants. Or when we searched on Google for a list, we had to trawl through numerous sites, most of which were created by SEO experts rather than topic experts. We will remember all of the platforms where we had view counts, upvotes, followers, and comments to help us decide which content to trust. Yet when it came to lists, we were completely on our own. And just to rub it in, all those lists that were shared on that tool built for accountants, they didn't even show up in Google searches. Yes, we need a platform for lists. If I had more time, I would talk about why lists are special and the features we have planned that will make Listium even more unique and more useful. Or I would talk about the creators, including a large media company, who are currently waiting on those new features. Or how some creators are already making money on Listium and how we'll monetize alongside them. And I would talk about the wonderful investors we have backing us and our plans for the team. I would also share details of our soon-to-be-announced funding round. Yes, it might sound crazy to pitch a product that could happily sit alongside these massive platforms, but Startmate keep telling us to think big and then think bigger. Let's do it. Thanks.
Don't take any advice from that Nicky guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Well done, Mark. That was a great pitch.
Thank you. Can I jump in just and take one more minute before we go into Q&A? That I mentioned there that we've got a cap raise coming up, and I thought it wouldn't be a demo day without an announcement of a new fundraise. So I'm excited to say that today we'll be formally opening our pre-seed round. It's not actually our first cap raise, but it is a pre-seed round. And I'd like to bring a special guest to the stage. Cheryl Mack is, I think, unmuted. So she's got an announcement herself this week, and then I'll explain how we fit in together. Cheryl?
Yes. Hey, everyone. My name is Cheryl, and I'm the director of Aussie Angels. And Aussie Angels is the platform for angels to co-invest together. And we are excited that Listium is going to be one of our first deals that we are launching. It will be launched through the Startup Hero Syndicate. So we'll pop the link in the chat. And if you go to aussieangels.com/syndicates and join the Startup Hero Syndicate, then you will get access to the Listium deal when it comes out.
Cool. Thanks, Cheryl. So yes, fun times. Judges.
Well, I never thought I'd say these words, but I think I realized after you're speaking that I maybe also have an affinity for lists. I bought a domain name about 10 years ago to create something with lists, and I've never done anything with it. So you are living that dream. Well done, Mark. I think super interesting and a really interesting niche. You mentioned a few of the things you didn't have time to discuss, but maybe a couple of sentences just about creators, people who you have talked to, who you think will be interested in using this tech that you're building.
Sure. Two main examples. One is a YouTube creator who's already publishing on Listium. He does a lot of tech reviews, had a large Google Sheet, and in the description to all his reviews, he would link to that Google Sheet, which was basically acting as an index for all his other reviews, and also had affiliate links. He's making, and he's happy for me to say this, 6 figures in affiliate revenue. He's moved his data over from that sheet to Listium. Still waiting on a couple of features that he's excited about, but he's already making good money from the affiliate links on that list. The second creator is, I can't say too much about, but it's a media company I was introduced to. They've had a look at a few of our most popular lists that at the moment are published in my name. They're excited about those lists being published in their name, sharing links to those lists with through their own social platforms, obviously putting their affiliate links on. And we want to help them create much stronger bonds with their audience. And some of those new features that will be coming will mean that Listium is more than just a pretty SEO-friendly alternative to a spreadsheet, but it'll be a much better way for list creators to form strong bonds with their audience.
Talk a bit about monetization. I think you were hinting at it with those answers there, but that'd be great.
Yeah, so there's a really long answer to that. I think a platform like this, we have to be prepared to not rush to monetize. If we are going to be big, we've got to focus on engagement first. Having said that, a lot of the lists are going to be product lists, and so affiliate links is one thing we're already doing. It's pocket money we're earning off our lists at the moment, but we can see a very quick path to creators earning some decent money. We'd then be looking at ways to share revenue with them. We've got some plans on how we do that. Advertising is another obvious one. Won't make sense until we have scale, but this could potentially be one of the most attractive advertising platforms once we have scale. And then we have a whole range of features that we could easily charge for creators, giving them access to advanced analytics so they can see where their traffic's coming from, their engagement. And it could be something as simple as if we run ads like YouTube, we could charge users to remove ads. So I think there's enough options that we don't have to rush in because the whole model doesn't fall apart if any one of those models fails, and we'll focus on engagement in the short term.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. That was a wicked presentation and great to hear from Cheryl as well. Next up, we have Lockpick Games.
As I was trying to help my 10-year-old stepson Drake study for the New South Wales selective school exam, I couldn't do anything to get him to focus. I looked at what current test prep solutions were out there. No wonder Drake was bored. The most innovative solution was grinding through mock tests online or flashcards. I also discovered that parents in New South Wales are paying between $2,000 to $20,000 per year in tutoring fees for standardized test prep. But what about the families who simply can't afford that? The tutoring first system means that more opportunity is going to children of already wealthy households. But I knew Drake was smart and could focus. I've seen him dialed in coding on Minecraft for hours, but he wouldn't spend 45 minutes to prepare for a test that would dramatically improve his life. And then it hit me. Why not combine his love of video games with my love for him to do well in this test? So we created a simple 8-hour adventure game. Come on, let me show you. Marble Mansion follows the engaging storyline of a young hero in a magical land. However, before you're able to cast a spell, the player must correctly answer one standardized test question. Test questions and skills are introduced to the student in a fun and low-stress environment where they're encouraged to keep solving questions and problems as they follow the engaging storyline of the game. And it's working. The first time we tested it with Drake, he played and solved problems for 4 hours straight.
One way is 53 and another way is 41. 48, 45. I guess 6.
Since the beginning of the fellowship 10 weeks ago, we've already created 3 working demos of the game, and we have 85 parents who are waiting for us to finish the product so they can play it with their kids, with 4 who've already paid us for early access. We recently partnered with local startup Notes Edu, who'll be telling their 30,000 users about pre-ordering our game. We're currently working on new features, which includes logins, so you never lose your saved data, and also a personalized analytics dashboard, so parents and tutors can see what question types their students are struggling with. Marble Mansion will also come with a suite of videos created by our awesome tutoring team, the Izzies. We will release the first full version of the game for the New South Wales Selective School Test this January, which targets the 15,000 students who take that test every year. But what's great about the way we've built Marble Mansion is that we can easily import questions from any standardized test. The big fish we plan to catch is the American SAT exam, with 2 million students who take it per year, and the TOEFL English examination with 2.3 million test takers every year. The team is made up of me, Tash. I have almost a decade of experience in government and policy, with my last federal government job being in youth education and development. Jeff has experience as a head of growth for a $4.5 billion edtech startup and has previously worked as a standardized test teacher in the US market. And Drake is a genuine 10-year-old student who, of course, is in charge of all of our quality assurance. So come join us in unlocking the potential for any student, no matter where they started from.
Thanks, guys.
This is so great, Tasha. Congratulations.
Thanks, Rayn.
I'm actually quite excited because I have a 7-year-old, but my question is like, because my 7-year-old is quite suspicious of everything. Like, how do you actually massage that questions into the storyline so that they don't feel like you're trying to trick them to do their homework?
It's a great question. And interestingly, this is one of the pieces of information that Drake, my 10-year-old, gave me. Because when we were working with him, he was like, you can't let the kids know that it's a education game up front. So the way we've built it is that you start the first level and there's no questions at all, right until you have to start the battle. And as a child who enters that battle environment, that's when the first questions start to be introduced. And once you realize that there are consequences for getting the question wrong isn't that severe, the kids seem to be more and more likely to keep repeating questions and trying again. So that's the way we've kind of snuck it in there.
I really enjoyed the pitch, Tash, and you guys seem like a really credible team to pull this off. I'd love to know how you met your co-founder and how you're thinking about how you'll expand the team.
It's a great question. The reason why I'm laughing is that Jeff is my partner and Drake, the child, is Jeff's son. And so we're just really fortunate that we're a bunch of, clearly me and Jeff bonded over our love of all things nerddom. And now it's turned into a financial opportunity. So that's kind of cool.
Do you have any other family members that you're going to recruit in the near future?
Yeah, actually, so interestingly, our next target market is the US, and Jeff's brother is actually a high school teacher in the US market. So we're trying to swindle it. He's in California, brilliant state to start trialing the product. We're actually planning on doing a pilot trial before obviously going to the SATs with a smaller exam in California because of that linkage. So yeah.
I don't know much about this space, I should say. Very, very entertaining video as well. And the games look really cool. Like a few people said, like old school Final Fantasy, Zelda style, they look great. What's the competition like, either locally or overseas, for this sort of gamified version of learning?
Yeah, look, there is a lot of competition in terms of like education kids games, though, our biggest competitor is a company called Prodigy, which is a Canadian company. They're, just did something like a $130 million raise, so huge company. But the big difference is that they just do math. They only do math, and they do more kind of general aptitude, which is age appropriate or year level appropriate, where our kind of UVP is around being like, you have this very specific test coming up, you will absolutely do the questions that are going to be on that test, where no one else is doing it that way. When you have these standardized test prep companies, often kind of in the start of the video, you would have seen it's literally just the best thing you can find is a timer and a test from the previous year, and they put it into a digitized format, and that's how the test preparation is taught. So it's kind of taking, the understanding of the need to be specialized when you are doing a standardized test, but then also putting it in the gamified arena. So it's, as Rayn identified, your user doesn't feel like it's a chore.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thanks, Tash. I think you really named the company well. You've definitely broken out into something amazing here. I'll see if anyone gets that one later. On to the next pitch of the night, we have Toki.
Toki connects people within their communities by allowing people to drop in anytime and be paired for 10-minute video chats. Aninda is an experienced engineer and has previously built all the elements required to build Toki. My undergraduate degrees are in biomedical engineering and law, and I've been coding seriously for the last 18 months. Aninda's been mentoring me for the last 6 months, and a month ago I joined co.edu and Toki full-time.
Mel didn't want me to say this, but she learns about 4 times faster than anyone I've ever taught before, and I've been teaching coding bootcamps for the last 2 years.
Humans have a fundamental desire to connect with each other, and without connection, loneliness can lead to poor mental health. Companies with a lack of collaboration between staff are less competitive and less innovative. A lack of connection between employees can lead to lower levels of happiness. What we've come up with is a way to pair people for short video chats. Based on our modeling, if your community has more than 3,000 active members, a member can drop in anytime and expect to be matched uniquely. If your community is smaller than this, your community can organize happy hours. Here is our product. Our example user Alice logs in and enters her details. Alice can enable matching for one or more of the communities she's a part of. Matches will occur every 10 minutes, so 7:10, 7:20, and so on. 2 minutes before the official start time of the meeting, the match is confirmed. Alice can join immediately or take a break during those 2 minutes. Alice, on the bottom left, connects with Bob, She can read Bob's bio. Alice and Bob can use the chat feature. After the call, Alice rates the relevance of her match with Bob. Alice can follow up with her previous match counterparts by direct message or another video call. The mentioned organisations are ones in which we have strong connections. Our planned strategy is to have our friends pilot Toki within their own teams, then use feedback from those teams to convert the larger organisation. While we've narrowed down the types of groups which will define our beachhead market, Toki solves a problem for most people in the world, but users might initially require some exposure to the product before realising its value. Think of how products like Facebook, YouTube, and Snapchat became mainstream. Have you lived in your apartment building for years and felt like you still barely know your neighbours? What if your apartment building was a community on Toki? What if your whole neighbourhood was a community on Toki? You could end up making some really good friends that live just down the road. What if the whole of Australia was a community on Toki? Initially, the matches will be unique and random, followed by a move to intelligent matching. Once Toki has a large enough dataset, we'll be using machine learning to create a global recommendation system. To build this for Toki, Ananda brings his experience working on highly scalable recommendation systems at Groupon in Silicon Valley. Imagine you were introduced to your 5 best friends on your first day of school, or on your first day of your new job, you were matched to your ideal team. With Toki, rather than spending 30 minutes watching Netflix, why not spend that time connecting with 3 interesting people you've never met before?
Hi Mel, how do you ensure quality? And you mentioned interesting people. What if the person I get matched to is not interesting at all?
Yeah, I can jump in and answer that. So I think there is some level of randomness. So initially it will be community based. So for example, if you're part of the Startmate alumni, it's up to the community to ensure those initial matches are of high quality because you're part of that community. But eventually, once we go to global scale, we'll use the rating systems and the feedback that you're given to give you good matches.
Great pitch. I've got a question about sort of the product experience for 2 people once they've been matched. Talk about like how you're, other than the bios pulled from LinkedIn, how you're empowering people in this very short amount of time to get a lot of value really, really quickly, and maybe not just having awkward, so where are you? What time is it where you are? Kind of, those sorts of conversations.
Yeah, so I've used Gather Round and actually don't like the prompts because I think it's up, as humans, we know what we want to talk about. And I think we used to actually bring up conversation. So those artificial prompts, actually, I prefer not to do that. So as a product, we keep it open as to what people want to talk about. You can read the bio so you know what they're interested in. But overall, it's just an open 8 minutes, and 8 minutes is not a long time. And I think you can find something to talk about with anyone for 8 minutes.
Great pitch, guys. I was just wondering if you've had any feedback from people, if this is like a desktop or at home sitting down when you got some time, or if people have actually commented they like the mobile on the go. Do you have a sense of how people want to use this?
Yes, I think initially we want to release a desktop app because if the person is walking around, the other counterpart is walking around, it's kind of a bad experience because it's like moving up and down. But eventually, I think if we can develop some stabilization, things like that, and make it a better experience for the other person, we'll also have a mobile app because, yeah, we've had some feedback, and I actually like to have a chat to people when I'm going for a walk. So that's been feedback that we've had as well.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. That was wicked. Awesome. Well, next up, we have Podcard.
Hi, I'm Anna and I'm the founder of Podcard. We make personalised podcasts for your friends, family and colleagues. This is my grandmother Nani, and a couple of years ago she turned 100. Now, trying to find an appropriate gift for such a significant occasion was really hard. Photos, art, even a meal at her favourite restaurant. Nothing felt quite right, because nothing captured Nani's unique spirit or matched the significance of the occasion. As an audio producer, I wondered if there might be a solution to this problem in podcasting. So I asked 30 of my family members to record a 1-minute story of Nani on their phone. Then I edited the messages together with music to create the first ever podcast. Since then, we've made 72 podcasts celebrating birthdays and weddings across 6 continents, from Delhi to Johannesburg, Edinburgh to LA, and the remote corners of Western Australia. The personalised gift market in the US is a $25.8 billion industry, and it's growing. That same market is projected to reach $43 billion by 2027. But the audio industry is also in overdrive. Following the launch of Clubhouse, the big tech companies have all released audio platforms built on user-generated content. Podcasting has traditionally been used for journalism and high production storytelling. At Podcart, we take user-generated content and craft it into a broadcast quality audio experience. We are the first company to make personalized podcasts from user-generated content in the world. So why am I so passionate about audio? Well, I'm a podcast producer with 8 years experience working across Australia and the US. I've seen the way that audio works, and it's really different to video. With audio, people relax, they open up and they connect. To date, we've generated $14,000 in revenue, received a bunch of press, built a community around our brand, and most importantly, developed a sales model that leverages a network effect. During the Founders Fellowship, we also launched a brand new product. Podcast for Teams will enable us to also reach the corporate market. We're looking for 250 grand to build a web interface which will enable us to automate our production and scale. With this technology, Podcast will become the go-to gift for companies and individuals celebrating special moments everywhere. We buy people stuff to show them that we care, but there's a better way to do that. We should just tell them. Our mission at Podcast is simple. It's to foster human connection on a global scale through audio.
Hi, Anna. This is great. I'm looking at your revenue. Is it true that it's about $200 that you charge per pop?
Yeah, so at the moment we've got 3 products. We've got a small podcast, which is up to 12 messages, and that's 180. A large one, which is up to 30, which is 270. And then Podcast for Teams, which is $55 per person, per team.
And a question about the product, because, you know, when you ask me to create content like that, I have no idea. So do you actually handhold the users and give them some framework and guidelines as you collect the stories?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like an arm's length distance producing, where we basically walk contributors through the whole process of how you do it. At the moment, it's just me hacking together some no code stuff. So it's quite a kind of clunky manual process. But eventually it'll be quite a streamlined automated process where contributors can just record their messages in the web browser, automatically upload it. And the audio prompts will actually kind of help walk them through it, which is really important actually for both the overall quality of the podcast, but also making our lives much more efficient to process the audio. You know, if it's recorded in the right way, it's the right duration, it's very helpful at the other end. So yeah.
Great, thank you very much.
Super awesome, Anna, well done. It seems to be there's a really natural network effect and virality in this product, because one person starts, I guess, the process, and then that goes out to 30 or 50 friends. Have you found that already, that you're getting a lot of referral business from the people that you've had use it once?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the main way we've been getting customers. I haven't spent $1 on advertising or marketing yet. And yeah, that's the main way, because we actually cannot make a podcast without you, our customer, going out and telling up to 30 people of your close friends and family about our product and getting them to actually use it too. So at the end of the process, we also send a copy of the final podcast to everybody who's contributed a message. So that's a great way to kind of share stories in a community, but it's also a brilliant way to just get our product in front of as many people as possible. But the other thing about our product that's really unique is it's actually a digital media product in itself. So it's, by its very nature, it's easy to distribute online, you know, so every time it gets shared, it's also an advertisement for Podcast itself. So it's sort of, it's got virality and network effects built into it in multiple ways.
Hey, and I really loved your pitch, and honestly it was like very, very reminiscent of sort of a Canva-esque approach for a whole lot of, you know, print and video media. Maybe could you talk a bit about like what potential is there to go beyond cards and to sort of build up towards audio production of all sort, but taking the insights that you've got about what makes something really compelling in a card format?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, this kind of web interface that we're building at the moment, it at its core is really just a very simple way for people to record audio, short snippets, collate it and share it. And that as a kind of framework is very widely applicable. You know, I can see that being adapted for companies to share internal comms, for them to kind of solicit audio testimonials from their customers. You know, I can see people wanting to maybe use their podcasts where their colleagues are kind of advocating what brilliant colleagues they are, maybe on their LinkedIn. So I can see it sort of, I can see us building out a more sophisticated platform that could also kind of work in multiple ways.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna. I can't wait to send out my Christmas podcast this year with jingle bells, Sasha smells. Anyway, on to the next one. We have invited.
It feels like a lifetime ago since we formed memories like these. And well, as a Perth boy, I can tell you we're a lot closer to getting them back than you think. 5 months ago, when lockdown ended in WA, I went to the pub with my mate Jordan. He told me how he was missing out on so many events because he wasn't using Facebook. I told him how I had read a survey where only 2% of teens were on Facebook. We turned to each other, half drunk, and said, let's build something better. Over the next week, we interviewed 100 non-Facebook users and realized that the substitutes to Facebook events suck. Group chats on Instagram and Snapchat, which 88% of teens use, get spammed with messages and key event details get lost. Hosts even have to manually track attendance in their Notes app, and major event apps don't have a focus on personal events. Like seriously, when was the last time someone invited you to their birthday on Eventbrite? Exactly. So now we knew what people's pain points were, and we decided to build an events platform called Invited. I knew from my 5 years of experience in social media marketing that it's a lot easier to leverage existing social networks than build your own from scratch. So we decided to do something that no other major platform had even thought about: be cross-platform. We entered into Techstars Startup Weekend and built a prototype over a weekend in May. Jordan's technical experience at Apple and his data science background was what we needed to build it. My Star Wars meme page was what we needed to validate it. A couple of weeks later, we launched our MVP. Here's how it went. We realized we had made a massive mistake. We hadn't asked event hosts what features they wanted. So, for the next 2 weeks, we went out and only talked to event hosts. Here's what they said they wanted. So, we took all that feedback on board, ordered a supreme pizza from Domino's, and on August 30th, we launched our beta with our first proper event on Invited. It was Katie's 21st birthday. We then joined the Founders Fellowship and met Nilu. He's had 11 years of experience as a full-stack developer at amazing companies like Qantas and Snapper. The three of us teamed up to build a better version of the platform. In the past 8 weeks, we've had 33 events from around the world hosted on Invited, 442 people attending, we're growing at 74% week on week. It's a small step towards our vision of hosting every single event in the world. So what's next? Well, we want to reach 500,000 users in the next 12 months. To help us do this, we're raising $500,000, and so far we've got 100K pre-committed. We'll be reapplying for the Startmate Accelerator, but most importantly, we'll be focused on building something that people love so that we can be part of more moments like this.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is great. Such a great example of listening to your customers. And that's why I love to hang out with younger founders, because today I learned inviting people on Eventbrite to your birthday is not actually cool.
Yeah.
But I'll see you at the Startmate selection process maybe.
Yeah, perfect. Definitely.
I don't have any question, but this is cool. It's always good to see how the younger generation works, and there's huge opportunity and huge virality I can see in the app.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Maybe
Oh yeah, Sam, please. Yeah.
I was just I'll jump in. So yeah, I totally resonate as well with what you mentioned. I think maybe people use paperless post or whatever, but it has like a formalism, and it's definitely not for like young people. I'm clearly old. I'm not to be a downer or anything, but like how do you think about monetizing? Because a lot of like, I think if it's pure social, right? Like the events is just part of keeping people engaged on the platform, and they monetize your attention in other ways. If it's pure event organization, it tends to skew to larger events and platforms like Eventbrite, which would be weird to use in a personal social context. So wondered if you had any thoughts around that.
Yeah, so we tried to validate a monetization model, a marketplace actually for event services. So that would be for hiring like a DJ, photographer, videographer, something that everyone does for their own like personal events. And we tried that for 6 weeks, and we had 14 transactions totaling $4,160. And we took 8.14% of that as just revenue to us. The reason why we ended up stopping doing that is just because at the moment we realize a platform is a lot more scalable than a marketplace, because a marketplace is very much like based geographically. But ultimately, the long-term vision for monetization is to be an all-in-one events platform. So that would include that organization through event services, creating and inviting events, and ultimately having ticketed events on there. And having like a ticketing system in place that is cheaper than Ticketmaster, which charges 7%, Eventbrite, which is 3%. Because like I've had 4 years running events, and oh my Lord, do I hate ticketing fees. Yeah, so those would be like pretty much the two areas to really vertically integrate the whole events process.
Got it. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, cool stuff, guys. And well done on sort of forming this team as well. Are any of you full-time on this at the moment, or what's sort of the mix? Yep.
So Jordan and myself are full-time on this. Nilu's joined us part-time, but actually we have some exciting news that I've got confirmation I can share. We got offered a term sheet. So we'll all likely be going full-time on this if we accept, of course. But yeah.
Epic. Well done.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, team. Now I have no reason not to be invited to that party. Wink, wink. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Our next team is Level Up Engineers.
Hi, my name is Ying Lee, and I'm here to talk to you about Level Up Engineers, soft skills coaching for engineers that works. We know that Pharrell Williams is happy, but our vision is for all software engineers to be happy. The problem space that we're working on can be explained in 3 statements. For the engineer who lacks critical non-technical skills, they are likely to experience job dissatisfaction and limited career options. All humans have a desire to grow, but learning paths for these soft skills just aren't engaging. For the engineering manager, they want to mentor and coach, but quite often they're simply too busy or don't know how to do it. For the employer, they want high-performing teams and low staff turnover, but scalable training solutions for soft skills are not personalized for the individual, can be expensive, and sometimes have a questionable return on investment. Some early solution ideas that we have and something that we're validating include a coach in your pocket like Headspace, Blinkist, or Apple Fitness, which can deliver training anywhere, anytime. It should deliver bite-sized, personalized, actionable, and habit-forming coaching. It should be fun and engaging. It should have missions and challenges. It should let you practice presentation skills with a facial and voice AI coach without fear of judgment. Crucially, it should meet the engineer at the right time with the right coaching. This is possible because software engineering has standardized agile ceremonies. Here, our solution knows you have sprint retro in an hour and is offering a quick tip on how to give and receive feedback. It should also meet the engineer later to see what went well and what needs improvement, because skill retention works when there is reflection. Even though it's early, we'd like to share our thoughts on the opportunity. We believe capturing 1 to 2% of English-speaking engineers puts recurring revenue somewhere between $30 and $60 million a year. Further revenue opportunities include broadening the subscriber base to all IT professionals, enabling team and enterprise features, and other partner offerings. Ultimately, we see our solution being accepted as part of how good software teams work and how good software is delivered. There are several tailwinds. Working from home and remote work now means millions of teachable moments that would have been given by a manager in the office or at the coffee shop are now lost. The number of software engineers is forecast to grow significantly by 2030, but until then, the real pain will be felt in scaling managerial talent and retaining staff who perhaps are not getting the personal development they want. Our solution also aims to take advantage of other inflection points, including how today's talent expects to consume content, the amplified individuals megatrend, and that agile adoption became the dominant software delivery methodology this year. So this is us. I'm Ying Li, over 20 years of software engineering and people systems in both consulting and managerial roles. I'm joined by Rayn, who has over 20 years in product management as both practitioner and trainer, and is also a champion for women in product. As I mentioned, we're validating our problem and would love to speak to engineers and engineering managers. If you can help or know someone who can help, we'd love an intro. You can also join our community.
As an introverted ex-engineer, this really resonates with me. I have a question around content and where do you source it from? How do you kind of arrange, all the coaching materials?
Yeah, I can answer that. Look, there's never been a problem with the content, and to be honest, the content is more or less, a lot of it's public domain. I mean, that managing clients is about setting expectations and how to communicate that, and often saying I'll get back to you rather than saying yes when really you should take that down and come back. So my short answer is the content's never been the problem. It's the mode of delivery and the timing of the delivery. Rayn, did you have anything to add? Sorry.
The problem is that it's not where those shy, introverted 1 to 3 year engineers are. So they don't know where to find it. And they're not going to go sit through a 3-hour lecture or have a day out and get taught these EQ skills. It needs to be timely. And that's what I learned while training people in product management. Because I come across a lot of engineers who move across to a product owner role. And so suddenly they need to manage stakeholders. They need to manage expectations. And it's like it's taking them completely out of their comfort zone. And so getting those EQ skills are really critical.
That makes a ton of sense, Rayn. I'd love you to talk about your thoughts around distribution or growth marketing and getting in front of these sort of 1 to 3 year engineers, and other than through the employer, and what do you think that those engineers would need to see or hear to be really compelling? Because engineers are quite difficult to sell to if you don't sort of have data or proof of outcomes, as I'm sure you're
so
more familiar even than I can speak.
Exactly right. They're moving through roles, and often their managers don't have time. They don't have time to train them or send down or approach a situation. So what we're looking to do is actually go where they are as they're coming out of their training, through having done agile training or university training or whatever, done the hard skills. We come in and we help them with the soft skills. So we're looking at partnering with universities, partnering with, where these engineers are, and just going to them and doing it really in a way where there is no barrier to take up. So we're looking at a freemium. to get them on board, get them to try it. Looking at a subscription model, our thinking is, nothing more than, a cup of coffee a week, because the alternative really is coaching, or mentoring, which is $200 an hour plus. That's not accessible for these guys. And this is why it's really important. And plus, once you do improve the EQ in this cohort, in these users, it makes the industry much more open to, women and making it, more of a balance. So we're really excited about changing that culture.
Cool. Have you actually encountered, in speaking to some engineers already, some pushback, just don't care, don't want to change, or have you found them more open than that generally?
So we're in the stage of really unpacking this, and we've started building our community and talking to engineers. So we're really at that early stage. What we're looking for is not to find, we don't want to sell something or pitch something to users where there is no pain. It's after they've walked out of, they've experienced a retro which has not gone well, or a demo where everything's, the timeline's overrun, the stakeholders mismatch expectation. And it's looking at that coming and in that discovery stage.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I think my only piece to add on that is the next level up, maybe a new internet connection, or maybe raising the voice. Thanks,
Sorry.
Dan.
It's because I'm the introvert as well, normally.
Awesome work. All right, next up,
Thanks,
we
guys.
have Mobila.
Thanks.
Museums have been a crucial educational tool for society, preserving invaluable artifacts and stories for future generations. But what if museums become extinct in the digital age? The future of museums depends on securing future visitors, and at the moment, museums are just not connecting with the Zoomer generation. On average, 50% of museum visitors are over 55. The current global museum market size is $12 billion and has shrunk 17.5% since the pandemic. What's more, many of these older visitors will continue to cautiously opt out of using these spaces in the midterm future, impacting on the sector's projected financial recovery. Now more than ever, there's a real urgency for museums to appeal to a younger generation of visitors. Engaging new audiences and staying relevant is a critical issue for the sector. It's about time we adapt to attract digital natives, because there are only more coming. The Zoomer generation are looking to enhance their everyday lives through interactive tech. Just last week, my 3-year-old niece tried to pinch a framed photo to zoom in like you would on a screen. Using augmented reality via a visitor's phone, Mobila is the first museum guide which lets history talk back to you. Interact and learn about the art from the art itself. Not too far in the future, you'll even be able to take a video selfie with the talking artwork and have a conversation with it like you would Siri. This combination of synthetic media, often called deepfake, and augmented reality is only possible because of the innovative AI-powered visual detection system developed by Mobila. It is a world first in tech to be able to accurately identify both 3D objects like sculptures and 2D objects like paintings through photography. What's more, this tech is highly scalable, easy to use, and can be used both in person and on virtual museum tours. Our product backend is complete, and we are now undergoing customer validation to tailor the front-end user experience with a planned launch in mid-2022. Our team combines the expertise of an AI and computer vision software engineer and a multimedia content producer with a decade of global experience. Mobila is already looking to the future and seeing how the same tech can be used on imagery in children's educational books, language learning textbooks, and on other edtech opportunities. As Mark Zuckerberg announced last week, the metaverse is coming. Tech moves fast, and we have a rare and small opportunity right now to decide how this universe looks. Who will be the key players, and how do we want them to impact and change our lives? Thank you.
Very cool. Even though I got distracted by Sasha's grandfather picture halfway through, I was wondering why museum and not children's book, because it feels to me like children's book it's a lower friction way to enter the market.
The key reason here is because the software that's developed is just so innovative. There's never been a software like this that detects both 2D and 3D objects. So we really want to be able to showcase this visual detection software. Actually, in the past, the Google Arts and Culture Lab collaborated with MoMA in 2018, and they attempted the same thing, but they in the end had to abandon doing 3D detection because they just couldn't do it. So like I said, it's using that physical space just showcases this MLAS software to the most.
I just missed some of the stuff on the team slide there. So you guys have both developed this this AI tech, have you, or have you got some other people you've contracted in, or how have you done that?
So Jeffrey's built the tech. He's been spending the last 5 years on it. And I've come in through meeting him during this Founder Fellowship.
Cool. And maybe just to follow up, so I think when you say that 50% of visitors are over 55 to museums, that sort of resonates as a problem for this industry. In talking to people within the museums, do they recognise this as a problem? And how's their reaction been to the sort of technology that you're presenting to them?
Yes, so the Museums of New South Wales have all identified it as a critical issue. Depending on the museum, some museums have already started to take some action, but a lot of the actions that they take aren't that scalable. So for example, if you look at the Dali Museum, they have a deep fake there, but it's one specific exhibition space, and it's one specific thing. It can't be scaled because this software can be applied to every single painting or every single sculpture that has a face. There's a lot more scalability there. In terms of museums that we've interviewed, it's dependent on the museum. We found that this is a very interesting terrain because some museums are very much set in the past. But we find that with anything in the space, there's definitely value to innovate. The Louvre, before they used the Nintendo audio guides, they used to just use the normal audio guide, and they found that they had a 4% purchase rate of these audio guides. After getting the Nintendo, which is just a small step in terms of audience engagement, engagement shot up in the under 30-year-old market. So this is just taking that to a whole new level. As Ryan would say, hatching Godzillas.
I'm definitely going to say that I said that one. I'm also quite an artist myself, if you can't already see my expressionist one here. Thank you so much for that. That was a wicked pitch. And I myself would love to go back and hopefully pinch a painting, literally. Next up, we have Clyde Street.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm the founder of Clyde Street, and we're helping households create their ultimate home by making the renovation process joyful and stress-free. So why do I think that this is a problem we're solving? Because I went through it myself, and I made all of the cliche mistakes around going over budget, spending too much time making decisions on the fly, and then got into a big fat fight with my builder. But I'm not alone. I went out and I spoke to a whole bunch of people and learned that they all experience the same things. They don't know what they don't know. They spend too much time planning. They love looking at inspiration, but where do you actually buy this stuff? And then when they do source things, it ends up costing them more than what they thought. And then they end up having trust issues. They don't trust the whole process. And I've kept a couple of posties from my interviews. And this one says that I felt paralyzed throughout my renovation. And this one says, I had this constant feeling of getting screwed. And I thought, oh my God, it's just a renovation. It shouldn't be that hard. And so I thought about this quote from Frank Lloyd Wright, and he says, you can use an eraser on the drafting table or a sledgehammer on the construction site. And I thought, that's it. That's what I've got to create, the virtual drafting table for households. So I was thinking about this concept of like bringing households and merchants together on Clyde Street so that they could collaborate around renovation process projects. And then what if a household could manage their entire renovation on the one platform, their budgets, their inspiration, all of the merchants, then they would stay organized and feel empowered for their renovation. Is this a big opportunity? I think it's huge. More than ever, households are creating their new homes, investing in their homes. What I learned was that 25% of people will do a renovation when they first moved into a house. And so I thought, that's it for my go-to-market strategy. I've got to get real estate agents involved. And so I've been talking to a bunch of them as well. Not just an Australian thing. I'm taking this global. It's going to all of the Style Pack locations around the world. And why else is it important to do it now? Well, there's all these trends that are happening, which we need to grab hold of right now. First one, you probably heard Mark Zuckerberg this week launch his metaverse. And I thought, wow, that technology is amazing. The concept that you can really visualize things through 3D. And one of the problems that households have is this lack of visualization. So I think that technology is really important. The other thing is around collaboration tools. We've all got much better at using them. And so this concept of collaboration between architects and the household and the builders so that they can all share information and stay on track. And then the third thing is around adapting our home environment for working from home. You know, we're all doing a lot more work around the house. So why Clyde Street? Clyde Street was my grandmother's house in Bondi where I grew up. Love spending time with her and I wanted to bring her into the business. So I'm building a great team. I'm very fortunate to be speaking to some amazing people who are helping me with this and hopefully found myself a co-founder. We're working really well together. But Clyde Street, you know, it's all about building quintessential spaces for the household. Ultimately, it's about the home and how can we make the renovation process easier for households. Love to talk more about it. Look forward to staying in touch. Please reach out anytime. Thank you.
I actually needed this about 12 months ago.
I get that a lot. I needed it 10 years ago.
How do you get the buy-in from the architect and the builder? Because, you know, like,
yeah, so very much focusing on the household as driving the demand because they're the ones that really have the problems, because there's actually a lot of tools out there for architects and interior designers. Like House does a great job at that for interior designers, but there's nothing solving things for households. And so like the concept that I would create my project on my terms within the application and then invite people in to, you know, comment on the project or to quote on the project. So that's, yeah, the concept.
So this is on the planning phase, not on the execution and project management phase.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think, I mean, it's a dumb truckload of problems in the whole renovation space. And so there's a spectrum from finding inspiration to, you know, sourcing things through to execution. And so I do see that ultimately it can solve that sort of process. But where I'm starting is the planning phase as the MVP, because that's where a lot of the pain starts. And if you get that right in the planning phase, back to the Frank Lloyd Wright quote, if you plan properly, then the execution will take care of itself. So that's really where I want to start the focus.
Great, thanks.
Rayn stole my question. Because I was going to say, you know, from my, like, you know, House is probably like the go-to place. And I was going to ask you, what is broken about House? And
House is just it's really just a marketplace. And so it's very crowded. And so you may as well just go onto Google and find something. And the merchants on House, they're not curated at all. So I could take a photo of my foot and I could post it on my, and like that would get on the platform. So, you know, this is about sort of, I guess, trust and knowing that if you go onto Clyde Street, you're going to get a certain level of quality and content. And House doesn't do anything around servicing the process of renovating. So if you think about, like, here's my MVP is my hand, you know, I want to do a kitchen, I want to do a small kitchen, I want to do a budget renovation because I'm doing it for a rental property. Boom, what do I need to think about? And there's like 36 items. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about waste disposal. Let me click on that, understand what that's about. Oh, save that to my project, must remember to do that. And then once that project is built out, I can either like send it to my husband, you know, what do you think about this? Or I can send it and invite architects or builders to quote on it. So that's kind of the concept on my hand.
What are your thoughts around charging? Is this a once-off fee for people to get access to, or a monthly as they're using it till the renovation finishes?
Yeah, so very much around the freemium style, because we want people to use it, right? And so I kind of think of it like what A Connect. So Clyde Street is to A Connects a little bit like what Canva is to Adobe. So A Connects, if you know, is a big construction platform. Was sold to Oracle. It does commercial project management, but there's nothing for the consumer side. So the idea that the consumer, would pay a small fee, but there's also like, it's not just about the renovation. You're always upgrading. You might do your garden after your renovation. You might put sort of, change your furniture. So this is like an ongoing journey for households. Well, it certainly is for me and a lot of the people I hang out with. So, and then there's also an opportunity to monetize on the merchant side as well. In terms of like, if you think about it, in the budget how much someone is spending and what their preferences are, where they live. And so like getting hot leads in there around and making it easy for a household to actually source product, because you're getting pushed leads from reputable quality suppliers.
Thanks, Rachel. You really knocked it out the gate, this one, and right down the street, the Clyde Street in fact.
Thank you.
We're down to our final three. So next up we have Past.
Past is looking to change and radically improve the way digital marketing compliance is currently done. Here is a summary of our progress so far. The problem we're trying to solve is that digital compliance is hard, especially in highly regulated industries, where there is a significant amount of prescriptive requirements around what you can and what you can't say to consumers. For example, if you're a telco selling NBN plans, you can't say the words up to when talking about NBN speeds. This makes digital compliance an incredibly complex task. It's even harder when you consider that current manual processes are very time-intensive, costly, and highly error-prone. This problem doesn't get easier as the regulatory landscape is shifting and getting more complex every day. At Haast, we help by extracting and aggregating a brand's digital footprint, then applying a rules-based AI to allow our clients to search for, monitor, and identify compliance issues. With our rule builder, we aim to help our clients build a content firewall that flags issues before they arise. Our rules-based industry agnostic system means our market is big and our product is inherently scalable across many consumer-facing highly regulated firms. Throughout the fellowship, we validated our problem, conducted key customer interviews, and built a working prototype. We're currently trialing with 3 early believers across different industries who have responded with resounding positive feedback. A recent success was our trial period with Mate, a mid-sized telecom. With our prototype, we helped Mate monitor their entire digital presence through multiple channels over 2 weeks and found consumer law breaches, out-of-date information, and multiple inconsistent disclaimers. At the end of the day, we estimate that we saved them around $20,000 in fines, not to mention the time, manpower, and effort required to review hundreds of digital assets and compare them against current regulations. Our team brings experience at the coalface of the problem. Jason, our CEO, spent countless hours at Optus trawling through websites looking for mismatched T's and C's in the legal and compliance team and thought there must be a better way to do this. Kunal and Jason have worked together for the last 5 years across a range of different projects. Kunal brings experience in sales, law, and policy. Both Tom and Liam bring experience in software development, AI, and leading teams. If you're interested in what we're doing, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Hey, Kunal, I have a quick question around the product. Is it always on, like a swear filter, or you do a scan periodically to catch, the violations?
Yeah, so the scrape itself would be done periodically, and we generate reports after every scrape based on rules identified. But you can change the frequency, but it would depend like across your plan as well if you wanted a higher frequency scrape. But you can also do ad hoc searches at the same time.
And the organization themselves defines, the filters, or you have a package, template that you could apply.
Yes, so we'll come up with a set of basic rules per industry, but the idea is essentially that we really work with the organizations to help them use the rule builder and build their own rules that are actually unique to their own situations. So whether it may be the terms and conditions they use, or the phrases they want to monitor, or the risks they see.
Great, thanks.
Good stuff, Kunal. Yeah, one of those really niche sort of industries that most of us don't think about, which I think you guys have some really interesting experience with, and could potentially be huge. So other than just, I guess, scraping web pages that are publicly accessible, has anyone given you access to intranets yet? Do they upload brochures or advertising materials, or is it just public facing at the moment?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we're currently just focusing on public facing at the moment, because we think that's where the niche is in terms of the competitive market as well. But there's definitely scope to go more into the stuff before it's been released public as well and scan that. But it's a bit more of a different space in terms of a lot of marketing management products are out there at the moment. So we're looking to, I guess, land in one area, then expand across as we see fit. But yeah, it's definitely one of those problems that's not particularly sexy, but it still needs a solution.
Yeah, and if you are scraping all public web pages, have you done it for a bunch of companies and then sent them a report saying, hey, we found all these errors in your pages and stuff like that yet?
We actually have for a few of them, but we found that shock marketing doesn't work too well sometimes, and people don't necessarily open emails. But for the companies we do talk to, we do usually go, hey, look, we've done this already, and we think this is where like this might be an issue, but like you could have X more issues.
Cool.
I'm just wondering how much these sort of customers currently spend on sort of digital marketing compliance, and maybe not the sort of someone's already flagged an issue and so they've engaged lawyers to act for them, sort of literally this routine sort of checking.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So it definitely varies across your business size and your volume of content. So some of the larger companies, so for example, if you take Optus, they almost have like probably around 20 FTE around across monitoring the stuff and working on the compliance side of things. And it changes, especially it changes as you go down and up, especially. And we also like to, I guess, think about it as not just replacing people and replacing time, but also making one person more productive and more effective at the same time. So if you're in a smaller organization, you can operate and monitor a larger presence with a smaller team, if that makes sense.
Cool, got it.
Cheers, Dan. Cool. We've got our second to last pitch for the night. Hopefully it's going to amplify us all up for this last two, and then we've actually got a little bit of an after party as well. So I'll share more about that after these awesome pitches.
Kia ora and hello. My name is Casey and I'm the founder of Amplify, a virtual event speed networking platform. The vision is simple: help people succeed by unlocking relevant relationships. I've been a community builder for over 5 years. I've helped build out the startup ecosystem of the city, connected founders around the world, and run hundreds of events. I've also been privileged to be able to make over 1,000 personal introductions. The problem we are solving is that with the shift to virtual events, it's changed how we interact. Relationships are typically best formed one-to-one, but with virtual events default one-to-all. You've probably experienced this. You jump on a Zoom call, there's a keynote speaker, some Q&A with everybody, and then it ends. Meanwhile, there's amazing people that are on that same call centered around one theme that would have value in knowing each other, but they'd never get the chance to really talk. Our solution is a virtual event platform designed for relationship building. After the keynote speaker, attendees are put into rapid fire one-on-one speed networking with each other. And then using smart matching, we help them find the most relevant people on the call and allow them to also upvote on who they're going to talk to further increase that precision. A quick look at the product, and that's what we see. looking at profile attributes to find the prioritization of who you talk to, as well as directly influencing and upvoting to create your own tailored lineup. The virtual event marketplace is booming. It's predicted to reach over $500 billion by 2028. Our business model is simple, freemium model, and then with over 100 people at an event, we start charging $100 a month. This also gives deeper insights into event metrics. With 250,000 event hosts, we can reach 300 million ARR. Traction to date is 15 pilot customers, 3 of which are paying, and we're proud to have made 680 connections for their communities. Our go-to-market strategies involve using Zoom and Microsoft Teams marketplaces to bring people back to our platform. We've got some strategies around freemium events to help expose us to larger audiences and some great distribution partners that are lined up. Defensibility revolves mainly around machine learning data moats on how we do the matching algorithms, as well as our distribution partners. Our ask is that we're raising 250K safe, and we'd love introductions to anyone that would like to be part of that journey. We'd also like introductions to communities that we can help too. Thank you for your time, and we invite any questions as well as introductions.
I'm still thinking, so you guys feel free to go.
Hey, Casey, great pitch. I would love for you to talk about growth and how you are thinking about what communities you'll target, what sort of product-driven things you're doing to enable sort of a lot of viral growth or things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome question, Sam. So the first piece around growth, we're going to capitalize in on the fact that Teams and Zoom are ferociously competing on having like general conferencing, and what they're doing for that is they're opening up like their marketplaces and trying to get as many products in their hands that way. By us having a play in there, that actually allows us to be exposed to scaled up like millions of people in a very efficient way, and then bring them back to our platform where we'll kind of be able to give the more full experience. That's one side. The other thing that's real interesting is with the freemium model side of things is so important, because you can think about the fact that anytime someone hosts an event, they're exposing multiple people, their entire audience that comes to the event, to our platform as well. And we've actually had referrals that have come from events that we've had that have been led to other opportunities. So I think that's going to be a real big piece as well, is that. And then third, which kind of starts going to the product side as well, is one of the things that has been really centered around this whole thing is like the way people actually interact, trying to emulate that in a way that's meaningful. And I'll get directly to your question, is allowing people to upvote is really important because it gives them the autonomy to go and talk to who they actually think is most valuable. But something that's actually really natural as well is how you make a suggestion on, hey, you should talk to this person because they know this topic or whatnot. By feeding that in, not only we can enhance the product, but if they're off platform, there's also a play to be had on a network effect there too. So those are kind of the 3 pillars that we're looking at for growth at the moment.
Yeah, I love that. That could totally see myself using that. Or you should speak to Rayn, speak to Luke.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because none of us love just sitting on calls. So without connecting with people, that's the thing we're missing from in-person events. So really resonate with what you're solving there, Casey. So well done. And it strikes me as being something that could be global from day one or really early. You're probably testing with people you know locally, but have you had that feeling and that feedback already that you could go overseas quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. So the US is going to be our starting point. Although we've been testing here, the US market just makes so much sense. We've built a bottom-up TAM, which is 1.1 billion, that we think's totally feasible. So that's what we're going for first. And the first testing, so we've got 17 customers now, and 6 of which are in North America. And that's just kind of naturally being kind of organically happening. There's just such a massive shift for these sorts of ways of engaging with people, particularly in the US. So that will be the target market.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Casey. That was wicked. Last but definitely not least, we have Sidekickster.
Finance, banking, and accounting is possibly the most painful part of running a business. These are the words of Eric, founder of Swoop Arrow, whose company is transforming the delivery of medical and emergency supplies. Back office tasks shouldn't hold founders back from literally changing the world, and Eric's struggles were echoed by many of the other founders I spoke to. While many early stage companies would love to have a CFO on board, these services are largely inaccessible to startups due to their cost. The alternative outsourced finance offerings are unintuitive, cookie-cutter solutions that don't meet the evolving demands of the next generation of business owners. Instant access, real-time information, and tools that put your finances on autopilot. Imagine a world where bookkeeping isn't a series of back-and-forth emails about transactions and receipts from a month ago. A world where you have access to reports, dashboards, and metrics that matter to your business available at your fingertips. Imagine a trusty finance sidekick watching over your finances and giving you the insights you need. Sidekickster is a CFO as a service that gives startups powerful insights to help them understand their cash flow, report to investors, and ultimately grow a profitable business. By productizing a CFO's knowledge and supporting them with a strong tech stack, we can scale what a CFO does across a number of companies while providing high-growth companies with better service and more insightful reporting at a startup-friendly price. The outcome? We democratize CFO services for the entire startup ecosystem, giving founders affordable access to the financial insights they need and empowering them to focus on building a killer business. I'm Eva, and I started Sidekickster at the intersection of two of my biggest passions, finance and startups. With a background at Deloitte, I've seen great examples of how to productize complex professional services. With my finance experience at a startup and my involvement in 2 Startmate Fellowships, I have access to my target market, founders building tomorrow's leading businesses. So far, I've validated the problem by speaking to over 40 founders, early stage teams, and industry experts about the challenges in startup finance. Since joining the Founders Fellowship, I've partnered with an awesome bookkeeper, which will allow me to white label their service so that I can focus on developing the strategic insights piece. And 2 weeks ago, I landed my first client. I've also created a comprehensive guide for early stage companies covering the fundamentals of startup accounting. To receive a free copy, email me at eva@sidekickster.com.au. Over the coming months, I'm going to work with a small number of customers to build and test an MVP of the strategic insights functionality by combining low-code tools and a CFO's existing tech stack. I'll also get customer feedback on the product wireframes, which I showed earlier, and build out a simple platform to house customer dashboards, metrics, and reports. I'm looking to find a few early partners as I build out my MVP, so if you know any founders who would like to free up some time from their financial function or who just want to talk about finance, I'd love to connect.
Well done, Eva. I'm always on the hunt for product in this category because I always have this dream that I get to access breakout companies' financial before anyone finds them, so I can fund them. But Zero told me that that's illegal. So I think it's good to have this pick and shovel play, to fit into something that people are generally not really good at. And if you have a template way and get people up to speed and educated, I reckon this is a really good product for a lot of even the Startmate companies in our portfolio companies. So well done.
Thank you.
That's actually going to be a question of mine, Eva, and nice to see you again. Is you talked about early partners that you're looking for. Could you maybe give a bit more detail around what do you think is like the ideal size of company, like how many employees, or are there particular business models, like software only or no hardware, or like how can we help you, get who you think is going to be your ICP?
Yeah, great. And nice to see you again too, Sam. So my go-to-market strategy, and I guess my customer acquisition strategy, is going to be to target startups in the early days when they have pants on fire issues with reporting deadlines and too much admin to handle themselves. And the reason that I've picked that, targeting early stage companies is based on some really great advice from Guy Kawasaki that early stage founders should really focus on product and sales, so making the thing and selling it. And interestingly, finance isn't on his list as much as I wish that it was. So I would target founders that really can be making a huge impact on their startup by focusing on product and sales. And how I plan to do that is through different accelerator programs and ultimately the fellowship network. So obviously I'm a member of both the Women's and the Founders Fellowship, and these communities are both super strong. There's a pipeline of really impressive companies coming out of this cohort that I'm sure are going to be rocket shipped soon. So to answer your question succinctly, it would be early stage companies. Essentially, I don't really have much of a niche yet that I'm working with. I'll work on developing the product with those first few customers that I work with to see what insights are really the most impactful.
Cool. Yeah, I don't think I've got any questions, but well done. I think you are hitting a niche and a nerve that people are responding well to, and yeah, heaps of startups can benefit from that, because I think a lot of us who understand the basics of finance, as you well know, are going out and making stuff and selling stuff, and then getting in a mess sometimes with the finances. So if you've got you as a backstop there to just stop it ever being a mess, I think that sounds really valuable.
Thank you. Everyone wants to get to the after party.
And on that note, I just want to say a massive thank you for all 15 people and companies that pitched tonight. Can we just get a big round of applause for everyone? It's been absolutely wicked. I know we're a little bit over time. I've had this mask on the whole time, Sam. I don't know what you're talking about. We are going to jump into the demo day after party. I just want to say a massive thank you to Sam, Luke, and Rayn for all the valuable feedback we got through tonight. It was so awesome, just like unpicking, 10 weeks worth of work and just seeing where all these ventures are going and how much progress people can make and making the Accelerator really have a run for its money. So what a wicked conclusion to it all. But without further ado,